I am back on the Talk Music podcast, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the woman, the godmother of drums. Everything she touches turns to viral. The awesome Dorothea Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
It's been quite a year and a half. Have you had a day off?
Really, really unexpected for somebody like me. I'm just a normal lady who just happens to play the drums. I'm not famous, but now I am for some crazy reason.
So we'll talk about lockdown first of all, because I believe that's where it really started to gather momentum. Am I right in saying that?
Um, I think the viral videos, some of them that I had previously, like just rudimental videos, had gone viral already. But then during lockdown, there was so many different opportunities coming my way. I would see the messages on Instagram and some a little bit on Facebook, but mostly Instagram. And then I started a TikTok, and then it went viral also. And so it's just been amazing. But I've picked up so many opportunities, like I said, but I've picked up so many students. So I'm still teaching virtually, and it's just been so fun. So I have been busy during this lockdown. I haven't had time to be bored with lockdown at all.
I love the story, and I'll kind of set it up, and I'll put it over to yourself. And I hope I'm getting this right. Your husband and your good self are about to watch a movie, and you say to him, "Listen, I need to I need to film a video. I need to film something. Talk to me about this."
Yeah, that was just recent, like what, a month or so ago? And it had been maybe a week. And on TikTok, people like to see you every day or every 2 or 3 days. And I had been doing like every 2 or 3 days, but it had been like 7 or 8, and we had been outdoors, and we came in the house, and it was just turning dark, and my husband said, "Well, let's go in our." It's called a sunroom, but Carolina room, since I live in Carolina, and let's watch a movie. And I said, okay, and I have to go in the kitchen and do one of my kitchen videos. And he was like, okay. So I wasn't even warmed up. And people had been just asking over and over, how do you get your double so fast? How do you get your double so fast? Well, the main word is practice. I can't really tell you too much more than practice. And so I said, I'll just do a doubles video. This is how you play doubles. And, I started slow, because that's what you do. You start slow. And each day, you should be able to increase in increments, small increments, and get your doubles faster if you're, doing it correctly. And so, like I said, I wasn't warmed up or anything. So it wasn't even that great of a video, because when I started doing it fast, I think my left hand was getting weird right in here because I wasn't warm. And so then I brought it back out into slow, and I went ahead and posted it. Got up the next morning, it had 1.2 million views. And
And
then
that's just,
since then, it has like 45 million or something
oh
now.
no way. And that's just a normal day for you, though, isn't it? A couple of million on a video. Great.
Yeah, yeah.
What does your husband think of this newfound fame, so to speak?
Well, let's say he's putting up with it because he's not a musician, even though his name is James Taylor.
You married James Taylor.
Married James Taylor, but he's not into music. He never goes with me to a gig, never sees me play. He just could care less, really. And
Is
so
that a good
since
thing though? Because you're not going to get carried away with this, aren't you? Not because he's always going to keep you down to earth with that mindset. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So it's probably ended up being a good balance, because last week we had our 51st wedding anniversary.
Many congratulations.
So he's put up with me that long. He still doesn't understand why I love it so much, but he has put up with it.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, I think unless, as you know, last a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Steve Gadd for about 40 minutes, and I could have spoke to him for about 3 days about drum rudiments alone, about the different variations of it and how much we love it. I think unless you're a drummer, I know a couple of non-drummer friends and musicians who kind of understand like the rudiments and their value and how much we like them. What was it that drawn you to that specifically? And I'm not just talking about drums in general. What do you think it was that grasped you into? I want to learn more about the sticking and the rudiments and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah. Well, because luckily I was from a very small town, like I've told in several podcasts, but we were so lucky to have a drum and bugle corps. And so when I grew up, throughout the whole summer, you could hear them practicing right near our home. And so I was always listening and hearing, and they would have parades for this festival, that festival, this festival. And then they would have a big drum corps competition sometime in the summer where other big corps were invited. And if we went, I don't even know if I went all those years, as I was growing up, but I could hear them. And I always had music in my blood. And so I knew that I was going to play music of some sort, so I played the piano. I took piano lessons for 6 years. And still, I'm the church organist at our church for 39 years now. So I'm still doing that. But I still had this drive for, I heard those drums and I was like, oh, I want to play those drums. But how do I go about it? And so finally in 8th grade, when I was 13, I went to the drum and bugle corps in the fall when their season was over and they were going to start practicing for the upcoming season, and asked them if I could play in the drum line. And it wasn't anything weird. They said, sure. So I signed up, started learning the rudiments, and, they showed us how to hold the sticks, and probably started out with doubles. I feel like we started out with just doubles, And we were all standing around a ping pong table at the American Legion building. It was a huge wooden ping pong table, and all of us drummers were around that table. So every so many inches, there was a worn spot of the wood chipped from all of our sticks because we didn't have practice pads. And we would be there twice a week for a couple hours. So, if we learned doubles, then I would work on doubles until the next week. And I practiced. I'd get up in the morning because it was just in my blood. I got up in the morning, put my clothes on. My mom was fixing breakfast before school started. I would go in our dining room, on our dining room table, and just work on what, we were supposed to work on for the week. I got to go home for lunch. So I would walk home, pick up the sticks before I even ate lunch, eat lunch, run back in there, even if it was 1 minute or something, just paradiddle, working on those to get them fast. Within 3 months, I surpassed the kids that were already in there for a whole year because I loved it so much. Paradiddles, double paradiddles, triple paradiddles, drag paradiddles. And it was like, feed me more. And I've been playing rudiments ever since. And I feel the reason I love Steve Gadd is because his style just reminds me of, the guy who started our drum and bugle corps. He had that same marching style. He was in the military. And when he got out, he started this drum corps. And I watch Steve, and it just brings back memories.
It's very evident, isn't it? See, when you see someone play,
Oh, yeah.
that they've got that background, you can just, with the way they hold the sticks, the posture, the general technique,
Yep.
I think you can spot it a mile off.
Yeah, when before I even knew who Steve Gadd really was, I knew just by watching him what he had to have in his history, I just knew that it had to be there because he looks like no one else. Other drummers have every drummer has a different technique, but I could see that marching rudimental technique in his playing, and that's how I like to play also.
Because the I think there's certain songs that are really good songs. There's certain songs that are, a selection that are great, and there's an even fewer amount that are an absolute work of art. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover is a work of art.
That's like my favorite thing to do on the kit. I
Oh, really?
love that. Yes. I was
It's because,
playing, I was filling in for someone, a drummer that was out of town for a couple of weeks, and he had a gig somewhere else. So they asked me to fill in 2 or 3 weeks, and I had never played with that group before. So we, played several nights a week. I think it might have been like 5 nights a week. And he said, tomorrow night we're going to do 50 Ways. And I really had never even thought about that song, even thought about playing it. So I went home and listened, and I came up with my own version. So it sounded correct. But then when I got the book, I could see where, that hi-hat was in there for that downbeat. I was playing something very similar, but when I went back the next night and they said, okay, you ready for it? And I said, yeah. And so, the drums start first, and they all turned around. I remember them all turning around because all the drummers that they had before couldn't even come close to that. So they were like just so excited that I was playing it. They didn't know that I wasn't doing it exactly as Steve, but it sounded exactly like I didn't have the correct hand sticking and coming over onto the hi-hats and stuff, but it still sounded good. But now, I have the book, and so I know exactly what he does.
oh, it's great. He's just, he's an artist. He really is an artist. I think he's.
Yeah.
I've got this thing as well. I tell people that if you were to put Steve Gadd into a room full of great drummers, Steve Gadd would be the person that everybody would describe as a great drummer. Because he's just so respected, like a legend amongst legends and all those things.
Yeah.
I was really. Sorry, on you go.
He just has a different flavor, and it just catches your eye and your ear.
Actually, I watched him drum with your husband, James Taylor, a few years back in Glasgow. It was amazing, absolutely great. Obviously plays with Clapton. Another gentleman that's played with Clapton, Ginger Baker. I was really excited to hear that you're a big Cream fan.
Yeah.
Tell me what you
That's
think
how
of
I
Ginger.
started.
Oh, really?
That's how I started. The first albums that I bought were Cream, Zeppelin, Iron Butterfly. Back in the day, put it on my small record player and cranked it all the way up, and then I would get mad because as soon as I started playing, then I couldn't hear the music. Because back then there were no headphones.
I think, well, given that you're talking about that time frame, and I'll just tread carefully here because I don't want to sound, I need to be careful. I see you're pointing at me already, so I'm going to choose my words here, okay? Which is difficult for any drummer, like me. But Ginger Baker, everybody talks about how much of an impact he had. Nobody came before him, and I think he really needed to be around it at the time. My dad was a big Beatles fan, and he used to always say, "Listen, son, until you were there, you'll never be able to fully appreciate the impact that they had." So similar to Ginger Baker, when you first heard him, is it right that everybody says, was there nothing like that beforehand? Was he a real pioneer in that area?
Yeah. It was like, wow, who is that? Because it was different than, like you say, like what you were hearing on different records and what you were seeing on TV. Yeah, it was different. I guess that's why I liked it so much.
He's a great player as well. There's actually he was the first person that I heard playing the paradiddle in 12/8. So he does a lot of really good stuff like that. It's great. And again, rudiments. We all love it. So go back on to talking about yourself. One thing, and I'm just throwing some random things at you. I watched an interview, right, when you were talking about the Pata Fla Fla, and you said, yeah, and I demonstrate this on my Instagram. Dorothea, I've been trying for a couple of days. I can't find that clip. Can you tell me about the Pata Fla Fla round the kit, how you do it, and everything that might go along with that?
Oh, gosh, I can't even remember. But it's just, I think I might have been talking about how to apply different rudiments, because there are so many drummers that don't play any rudiments. Nothing. They don't even know, if they happen to play a paradiddle, they don't even know it's a paradiddle.
Mhm.
But there are so many rudiments, like Swiss Army triplets. Uh, Steve Smith is playing this Swiss Army triplet thing on his toms, but nobody, unless you're trained with rudiments, you don't know that those are Swiss Armies. And the same thing with pataflaflas. So you're hearing ja, 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 ja. So you can put that samba bass drum with that. I don't know what it'll sound like if I do it. I don't know if it'll be too loud.
It sounds great. Listen, I hope you don't mind. I've stolen something from you.
Okay.
The flammed mill. Okay?
Yeah, and those are fun to play.
Really good. Okay, so
Single.
before I record it and I put it up and I as if I'm pretending that it's my own, I want to just tell everybody, I want to just tell the world that I've stolen that from you. If you could be so kind to perhaps play that on the snare and then play it on the ride cymbal and snare like that you've done in the
Okay,
on
just
video that I've seen.
the single flam mill, right?
Yes. What a treat this is. And the kit sounds great, by the way. It sounds great. Bravo. Bravo. We got to do this, right? Can you give us the other angle?
Oh yeah.
We got to see this. This is why
Okay.
Dorothea is the benchmark for everybody. Look at this. There's camera number one, ladies and gentlemen. Now watch this. Here we go. Look at that! Look at that! Play the flammed mill with that angle. Here we go. This is great. It's awesome. It's excellent. It's excellent. If we could go back to the other angle now, Dorothea. Sorry about this. I'm thinking I'm a film producer now. I'm getting carried away. But listen, this is a great setup. Tell us about the setup. And you were telling me before we started recording, it kind of stemmed over the last year. Is that right?
Yeah. So I already had this drum set, and I purchased it on a really killer deal. And they're DWs. They're the collectors. I think they were collectors. Satin oil with the gold hardware. And so I've had them for almost 20 years probably, but they look like they're brand new. And I was telling you that the only time they've been out of the house is I worked in a music store, and people knew me in the music store. And I guess they knew that I had drums, probably through word of mouth, through the musicians in town, that I had a nice drum set. And so the bass clinic given by Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey, they did it several years. I don't know that they're still doing it, but Victor Wooten came into town, into Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because Steve Bailey moved back here. He used to be on the road with like Willie Nelson and all kinds of people, killer bass player, and he was in Bass Magazine and all. So they do a bass camp. So they bring in top-notch musicians for their end of the day after they teach different classes. Then in the evenings they would do a concert for everyone. And so they brought in like all kinds of bass players. So they would have the stage filled with bass players, and one would be, playing the melody, one would be playing the keyboard part just on bass. And so they had like the bass player that was on David Letterman. I've forgotten what his name is. And just, amazing musicians. Well, the college was hosting it. The college didn't have, at that time, a decent drum set for their guest drummers. And the guest drummer, the first year that I heard about the camp, was Greg Bissonette. So he was coming in from California and no drums to play, so they asked me. And so I said, yeah, if Greg Bissonette is going to play them, sure. So I still have the autographed heads. So I packed them up, and somebody from the college came, one of the students came and helped me, and we took them to the college, got them set up for Greg. So he played them one year. Next year he came back, gave me a call. I need your drums again. And so I gave them again for the second year. So they did my cymbals, what cymbals I had back then. I didn't have the Pisces yet. And so they were in, the recordings of those concerts. And then the third year, I didn't tell you this, Kenny Aronoff was their drummer for that year. And so he borrowed them. And so the drums went out again. So those 3 times are the only times that my drums have been out of the house. So they're just in great condition. So that was my normal setup. Well, Drumeo contacted me and asked if I would be interested in being one of the Drumeo coaches for a whole year. So we have to do a lesson every week. On my time is noon time on Tuesday afternoons, and it goes worldwide. But then they're in the archives after that, and you can go back and find them. But I said, sure, I would love to do it, but gosh, I didn't know what it would take. I didn't even own a computer, and so I had to purchase, a computer, which is I got like a really, really nice computer. And I had to get the cameras, the stands, all of the mics. So it was quite a process. And then I had to have somebody from Drumeo did like a FaceTime with someone that came in and helped me put it all together, because I had no idea how to set all this up. And then we had to even have the Ethernet cable go directly, plug in directly. We had to go in through the attic. My husband had to crawl in through the attic and get all that set up so it could go directly into the computer. And so that's what I've been working with, all this setup. And so I get to record good quality stuff for myself too through all of this setup. And then this will be mine. This is mine now. It's not Drumeo's, it's mine.
It's the setup's phenomenal. And Dorothea, to be honest with you, like when you were about to play the kit, that's by far the best. I'm not just saying this. Drum kits over Zoom generally don't sound that great because there's so much latency. There's so many issues with it. The kit sounds brilliant.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you.
So that's really. I mean, it's great. The setup is great. The camera at the top, that's fantastic. That's next level, as they say.
Yeah.
So
and there's room for 2 more cameras, but like an overhead. I mean, a foot camera and probably like a forward camera, but I don't know if I'll do that.
Oh, you got to go for it. You got to listen. If it seems like it's getting like it's getting over the top, then you're just simply heading in the right direction.
Okay.
So definitely go with that. I want to talk to you about your brush technique, okay? Because this is something that because I know that you get the marching background, and you played in many different cover bands and all the rest of it. At what stage did it require you to play with brushes so often? Because I'm trying to kind of pinpoint that in your career.
I think I may have just done it on my own so that when I did get the chance to be called to play a jazz gig, because I've done a lot of just freelance where locally, though, somebody will call and say, can you play such and such on Saturday night? And it's like, sure, but they want, it's going to be real soft, and they want maybe just brushes or something. So, I had to be prepared. So I think I got some brush videos and just tried to copy and, work things out on my own. And then, I've played several jazz gigs since then. So I just taught myself.
It's great. I mean, the brush technique for me, it's something that I can't do that very well at all, to be honest with you. I think it's a completely different skill set, and you need to really spend a lot of time doing it. But it seems to just come so naturally to yourself. I know. We keep going back to him, but somebody like Steve Gadd, obviously, he's great in that front as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
And it's fun to watch. Everybody, like, there's correct brush techniques, like I mentioned on my Drumeo video, but yet everyone that does brush technique, like Jeff Hamilton is one of my favorite jazz drummers, and Peter Erskine and Clayton Cameron, who did a concert here several years ago with Tony Bennett. And I fell in love with him. I bought his DVD, and it was just incredible. Everybody plays brushes, but everyone still has their own little, own little technique. But it's all correct. So there's correct ways to play, and there's incorrect ways to play, but yet everyone has little variances. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It's great talking to you about drums. It's very evident you're a wealth of knowledge, particularly as we go back to the rudiments and how they apply to the kit and all the rest of it. You mentioned earlier there's a lot of drummers that they're not applying the rudiments to the kit. As well as that, and teaching so many people as well, can you think of perhaps the most common mistake or mistakes that young drummers make today?
Well, I got to think about this. If they've not taken any instruction, or if they haven't really paid attention, then they tend to not use their wrists and stroking to get clean drum work done. So, they might say, yeah, I can play a double stroke roll, but it's like where they're just dropping the sticks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's not really a double stroke roll. You want to be able to hear each tap. So I think a lot of people don't spend that time working on technique. When you're playing your doubles, you want that second tap pronounced a little bit. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. So a good way to practice those is really accent that second tap to make yourself stroke those doubles. So even if I start going fast, you can still hear da 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 da. And so I think a lot of drummers, they don't pay attention to specifics. And if you learn these from the beginning, it just makes all of your stickings nice and clean when you're going around the kit. They're not sloppy, just pushed and dropped in there. They're nice and clean.
That's some great advice.
One thing I think of.
That's some great advice. We mentioned your Instagram earlier. I love seeing it. And wherever you're traveling, it seems, there's a practice pad, there's a pair of sticks. You take them everywhere you go?
Yep. Yep.
Great. And so regardless, you're on holiday and all the rest of it, do you have any sort of, right, okay, I'm away for 3 days there, I can't not play drums for that period of time? Do you get that kind of little bit of, I don't know, guilt, anxiety about the fact that you're going for a period of time not practicing?
I do. Like in the summer, before COVID last summer, we always go in our RV and go to Michigan, go back to my home in Michigan, because I still have relatives there, and it's just nice there in the summer. And so I don't have a drum set, But I always have something. I have my practice pad, my sticks, but then I'll take my cajon. Uh, this summer, now we leave in a few weeks, and we're going to be gone for 4 weeks. And somehow I'm supposed to manage and teach that drumeo lesson. So I'm debating on trying to fit something that will fit into the camper or our RV, stick it under the bed while we're traveling or something, because I'm going to have to give lessons. So I don't know what I'm taking yet. Because I do have, I don't know if you're aware of they're called Pure Cushion. It's a Pure Cushion kit.
Yes. Is this, well, just so I'm talking about the right thing, is it, it's almost like it just looks like a skin?
It's just the head, the drum head, with a rim, like the rims R dot I dot
Yes.
M dot. What was it called? I forgot what the R stood for. Integrated mounting system. I forgot what the R stood for. But I got that kit years and years ago when they were available, and someone purchased one, and they were on a payment plan, and they didn't pay for it, and so the people that I worked with had to go to their house and take it back to the store. And I was like, oh my gosh, how much are you going to sell that for? And so it was a mess already, and it was only a few months old. Person didn't take care of it. I put new heads on it, and I couldn't let it go, so I've had it ever since. But it's so portable. It just folds flat, or you can take all the drums or the heads off and stack them also. So that's probably what I'll do. And so I can have a drum kit, as close to a drum kit with me as possible. But it sounds really good. I have the Evans heads on it, and it sounds pretty darn good.
Sounds really good. Is it just a little bit quieter than a general acoustic kit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going back to the practicing thing, right? I love geeking out and just talking about drums and rudiments, okay? Do you have a certain amount of time that you have to practice every day, or do you just practice as much as you can depending on what you're doing?
Yeah, just little bits here and there. And then when I'm teaching, I'm not really practicing, but I'm playing
Yeah.
along with them. So, that's getting some playing done also. And then if I'm just sitting watching TV, I'll have my pad. I can turn it on my quiet side here.
Love it. That's great.
Yeah,
What
this
practice
Drumeo
pad
quiet
is that?
pad.
Is that a drumeo practice pad?
Yeah, Drumeo quiet pad. So it's just foam, but so I can turn the TV up enough where my husband can hear the TV, but I can still practice.
So is one of the world's greatest songwriters, James Taylor, is he okay with you constantly practicing while watching TV? Is that okay with him?
Well, not really, but I do it anyway.
Rock and roll, and all that. So much to speak about. This interview is going to have to be one of 20 that we're going to have to do. This is part one of 20. I've got to say. Now, talking about percussion a minute ago, last time before I let you get away, you were playing a box, a kind of percussion box, and you were playing it like congas. And I've tried to find this thing. Do you know what I'm referring to at all?
Oh, what I just received like 2 weeks ago.
It might well have been. Let me just check here. So it's almost like a bass sound and a snare sound, and it sounds really. It sounds like a cajon, but you've got a black strap
Yeah,
round
yeah,
that sits there. What is
yeah.
that thing called?
Cajon tab. So
Okay.
CAJON tab,
Hmm.
TAB. And so it's the bongo
Hmm.
cajon tab that they sent me. And
Right.
so it has, two different pitches, but then it has snares on one side. So it can be your snare drum and your, lower bass or tom or whatever. It's really cool. It's right there. I can get it if you want.
On you go. On you go. I'm intrigued. I hope that's not too much hassle, is it?
No.
Excellent. I'm talking to Dorothea Taylor, and to save me editing this out later on, what a treat. Dorothea mentions Drumeo there. We'd be as well putting this in context. So Drumeo is a fantastic website that's got tons and tons of free drummers and free drum lessons, and great drummers like Dorothea give tons of lessons on it. So you should check it out. They're all free, and it's very, very informative indeed. Look at this thing. This is a cajon tab. Okay. So this is going to be worth the wait, because these things are great. I'm going to get myself one of these, a cajon tab. And I suppose technically speaking, you could march while playing it, because you've got a strap that you can use.
I had to get plugged back in.
I don't know if you heard me throughout that, but I was kind of talking. I was advertising your videos on Drumeo.
I could hear you.
I kept it going. I kept it going. I'm trying to be a pro. Look at this. Sounds lovely. Wow.
So it has the tone holes on both sides. And then it has your snares right there.
Oh, wow. Oh, right, okay. So, it sounds great. Did you have to, so when you're wanting to use a snare, you flick that thing up and it just gets held down the other way for different sounds, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Cajon tab. Right, okay. I'm getting myself one of these.
So much fun.
That sounds great. And have you had it mic'd up and stuff?
Have I had what?
Have you had it mic'd up? So have you had a microphone on it for when you
not
playing
not
live?
yet. Not yet.
Okay.
I want to, but I'm so busy.
Oh, it must be just. I mentioned earlier. Have you had a day off in the last few months? I would imagine, because you get videos out all the time. Is it just a day off? Must be quite rare.
It really is, because on Mondays I usually prepare all my stuff for the lesson on Tuesday for Drumeo, and then I have students right after that. I have one before that, and 2 or 3 after that on Tuesday, and then students on Wednesday and students on Thursday. But I'm going to have a new grandbaby on Wednesday morning, so I have to take a little time off.
We were discussing this. Many congratulations. You've been married.
And to you too.
Yes. Yeah, I've recently became a father, and yeah, that's really something. That's really something. It's amazing. It's great, and I just really hope I'm not messing it up. I really, really hope not. I'm trying every day. He likes music, you know.
Oh, good.
But we play the piano. That stops him crying and all the rest of it. But listen, let's talk more about yourself. Many, many congratulations on becoming a grandmother for the second time. Is that right?
Just my second time. Yeah.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah.
So Dorothea Taylor, this has been unbelievable. Drumeo is where we can find all your stuff. You're on Instagram as well. If you're watching this, everyone, you're probably following Dorothea online. She's got tons of followers. She's the most viral person I've ever spoken to. Absolutely unbelievable. Dorothea, many, many congratulations on everything that you've achieved for years now, but particularly the last year and a half, 2 years. It's been unbelievable. Please do us all a favor, and please keep these videos coming, because I can't steal enough of your stuff.
I'm going to try.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.